Okay. All right, dude. Shout out to our buddy Tinwin. Tinwin threw me a couple of articles since I hadn't been doing the news since I'd been on vacation and stuff, and this is the most recent one that he threw me, and I am going to address this. I'm going to go ahead and throw something in chat here for you guys. I've addressed this already. We're going to talk about it again real quick. Here's a link to an article on the YouTube page that is about my feelings on how Dave the Diver absolutely should not be considered for indie awards this year. And funny enough, until I was made aware that mintrocket is actually a subsidiary of Nexon, I did think that this game should be in the running for indie awards, but this is not an indie studio. Not even close. It's a subsidiary of a massive, giant gaming company, developer in Nexon. And so I think that everybody has a lot of people have a little bit of a varying idea of what should or shouldn't be considered a indie game. But for the most part, a lot of us gaming enthusiasts are closely aligned, meaning that a lot of what we consider an indie game is an independent studio. An independent studio that does not follow under any other studio, that is also very small, right? So difference being, you could take a look at somebody like Larian. Larian is an independent studio. Do they have shareholders? Yes, but they are not owned. They are not owned by any other company. They are not a subsidiary. You know, they don't have anybody over them. So in the grand scheme of things, they are considered an independent studio, but they're massive. Larian is huge, huge. You know, I think well over like 500 employees, developers. You know, for developing their games and stuff. And really, I think that for myself, when you want to talk about an indie studio, I'm talking about a studio that not only is truly independent, not underneath any other big company. They are outright their own independent studio, but is also small in stature and manpower and are you know, probably honestly in my opinion, under 20 25 people working on a game. You know, that would be pushing it for me, really. You know, I think that um that's more along the lines of what I'm talking about when I'm looking at something that should be considered for an indie award. You know, independent game. You know, again, everybody's gonna have a little bit of some variance there, but I think a lot of us can definitely agree that it's definitely not some kind of studio that's just a subsidiary that's got a buttload of money dumped on them. And I'm not taking away, again, I'm not taking away from the fact that Dave the Diver is a banger of a game. This has been one of the most pleasant experiences of the year for me, gameplay wise. I loved this game. It's great. I'm so glad to have been able to experience this game. It was fantastic. Hot pepper tuna. You know what I'm saying? Hot pepper tuna. This game was fantastic. Which is why it was a little bit disheartening to find out that they're not an independent studio, because I was like, wow, dude, it's pretty great. It's still great. Still great. And I think that it's a good move by Nexon, really, to take a good core of developers, push them out on their own, and go, you guys are now going to do a project on your own. We're going to kind of not have our hands in what you're doing. Do something unique for us. You know what I mean? Make something great. And I don't think that's a bad play, that maybe more excuse me, large studios should take a look at copying this type of, you know, game development methodology from what Nexon's done here with mintrocket. But it still doesn't make them an independent studio, right? And that's what we're really trying to get to the core of here. Now, what Tinwin has brought to our attention here is that from VGC News, apparently Geoff Keighley, if you don't know who Geoff Keighley is, this is the host and producer of the Video Game Awards. Let me bring this up. So this is Geoff Keighley, okay? And he is the host, producer of the Video Game Awards, which are coming up in like a week and a half. And we'll be watching it, right? Here in the channel. But just in case you don't know, that's who this is. And we're about to discuss a tweet that Geoff pushed out about Dave the Diver, okay? Because there's a lot of contention right now about whether or not, because first and foremost, this game was actually nominated for an Indie Award for the Golden Joystick Awards before I even knew that this was a mintrocket, the developer, was a subsidiary of Nexon. And once I found out, I was like, dude, there's no way it should have been nominated. And now it's also being nominated for an Indie Award for the Game Awards. And in that article from the YouTube channel, we pulled up where mintrocket has actually explicitly told people they're not an indie studio, yet they're still being nominated for indie awards. And Geoff Keighley has shared his thoughts on the debate surrounding Dave the Diver's nomination for Best Indie Game at the Game Awards. Quote, independent can mean different things to different people, and it's sort of a broad term. So, you know, one of the things that I've been calling out about the Game Awards, you know, especially this year, is how stupidly weighted the Game Awards are. And that's why I don't put any stock into the Game Awards. I like the Golden Joystick Awards because it's really community-based voting, you know? It's public-based voting where you can go vote on the Game Awards, but you need to understand that the Game Awards are only going to take 10 the weight, the way that the awards are weighted for giving the awards out for the nominees is that the public vote only accounts for 10% of the weight for each award. And then the Game Awards have a jury or a basically a panel that they elect to vote on the games that can consist of the other 90% of the weight. So we really don't get any say in who wins these awards and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And who gets nominated and things of that nature. The Game Awards are really, in my opinion, a more kind of it's more of a politically driven award show for the games industry, if you understand what I'm saying. That's the way this comes off to me. The reason I like the Game Awards is because we get to see a lot of cool trailers and stuff. But this is not a good look. This is not a good look at all. And I state in that article that I posted in chat there that, in my opinion, especially after hearing what Dave, you know, what mintrocket has said about them definitely not being an indie studio, if they were to get nominated for these kinds of awards, for indie awards, they should tell the award shows that they don't want to be in the running. They don't want to be nominated. And even if they couldn't pull themselves out, if they won the award, they should not accept it. They should not accept this award if they win it. Absolutely not. Because this is trash. And this is a bad look. Yeah, yeah, I know. I don't that's the thing is that it's hard to tell because that's the thing is that like Nexon and mintrocket have been public about it, right? They've been public about the fact they're not an indie company. And what's weird is that now you got like Geoff Keighley being like, well, independent can mean different things. No, independent's not that broad. It's not that broad. You know what I mean? Oh, no way, dude. You're getting snow now. What's up, Tim Win? What's up, buddy? It's not that broad. There's a little bit of some variance in the ways a lot of us will address this, but there's a basis, a pretty strict baseline for what is considered an indie developer, right? And they definitely are not one. mintrocket is absolutely not one. They are a subsidiary of a massive company. And you can see some of these like statements coming up underneath here. And Tim, I don't know if you heard me prior, but shouting you out for this article and or for this topic and thanks for it, buddy. No, Geoff, it means one thing. Your jury flipped it. Now you got to fix it or switch it. Nexon is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. Dave the Diver is a great game, but it basically took the nominee spot of a real indie game. Some people confuse 2D pixel art with indie. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with this. Look, I didn't do enough research when I played the game. I saw mintrocket as developer, mintrocket as publisher. I looked up the company. I didn't see anything to do with Nexon originally and was like, this has got to be an indie company. Shame on me for not doing more research, but I saw nothing to indicate that they were a subsidiary at all whenever I looked into them initially. And thank God that I ended up finding out, but it wasn't a blatant thing for people to know, really. It was almost kind of like they did this in a weird way to keep people from knowing that they were a subsidiary, but they were also very upfront about the fact that they're not whenever they were confronted with it. I don't know. It's a weird situation. But I agree. Dave the Diver's an amazing game, but it is absolutely not an indie game. It's easier for people to defend an incorrect fact to the grave than to admit a mistake. Why is that? Why will people not just... Is it a pride thing? Is that what... Does it hurt the pride too much for people to just go, yo, I'm sorry, I screwed up? Why do so many people have such a hard time, and companies have a hard time doing that? What is that about? I have so much more respect for people that have that kind of attitude and can actually confront their mistakes. That shows maturity to me. That shows recognition of how to be better moving forward too. And it's just terrible to watch so many people in so many industry and so many companies do this kind of thing on the constant. They will, and dude, this is stated perfectly, defend an incorrect fact to the grave, dude. It doesn't matter how many facts you spit at them to prove them wrong. They don't care. They will just continue to defend what the stance they have for some weird reason. You know, it's really weird. It's an actual word with an actual definition that isn't hard to understand. If you are a dev owned by $1 billion company or $1 billion publisher who owns many games, that's a pretty far stretch from indie. Yeah. That's literally not an indie, dude. So next year we can hope that Call of Duty, FIFA, Final Fantasy, and The Last of Us to be on that list, right? Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, this is funny. Dave the Diver, not indie. Baldur's Gate 3, actually indie. But again, I mean, a lot of people are understanding of the fact that like somebody like Larian is so big that nobody's going to want to see them on that list. But they are closer to what a company would be considered to be on that list than somebody like Dave the Diver, you know? Yeah, it's kind of wild, dude. So, this is a bad look. It was a bad look at the Golden Joystick Awards. It's a bad look at these awards. And this statement from Geoff Keighley makes him look stupid. I'll stand by that. If this is a true quote from Geoff Keighley, that makes him look really stupid. And you know what it is? It makes me it's more of a confirmation to me that he is an industry puppet. You know? Really. More than anything else. Just an industry puppet. Unfortunately.